Okay, well, welcome everyone to tonight's conversation. We're going to be talking a lot about how to think rich in order to be rich. And so let's just throw that slide up there so that we're all on the same page here for just what's going on tonight. So in order to honor the time commitments that I've made and that others have made that choose to be here, more of you seem to watch this on video. Again, welcome to tonight's conversation. So again, we're going to be talking about a lot of things tonight. We're going to be talking about the mindset of consciousness that involves with abundance. We're going to be talking about how you need to own it, what affirmations are, what a bliss is, and why you need to be tracking things. So that's kind of the direction we're going to go. For those of you that are not familiar with the Full Circle family and our mantras and who we are as a community, our focus is on helping you grow as both a person and a professional, which allows you to find more meaning, create the amount of monetary abundance you want to have in your life, which is what we're going to talk about a lot tonight, and how to have more freedom in your life so that you can enjoy your life and not become a boring workaholic. We have a really proprietary system that we use. It's based upon a roadmap. You can't get how to, know how to go from point A to point B unless you have a map. The old days, I'm old enough to know that, we had literally old-fashioned like print maps, which are pretty much, I think, gone with the dodo birds. But today with Waze and Google Maps and stuff, right, it's a great way to know how to get from point A to point B. So we have a 4-pillared model, which I developed almost 30 years ago and haven't changed because I haven't found a better model. And it's based upon vision, focus, systems, and team. And there's 3 sort of vibrational levels to this that we work with people at. We work with people that are looking to find more meaning in their life and their business and really understand who they are as a practitioner, why they practice, how they want to practice, what their authentic voice is within that. And there's a series of steps that you need to take along the roadmap in order to become a master, at the practitioner level, as this slide shows. Once you've mastered that sort of meaning level, you can move on to the money manifestation level. And this is where you literally start to become a great business owner, and you leverage all of the learnings and capabilities you developed in the meaning level under vision, focus, systems, and team, and you leverage that to actually manifest your life in your ideal. And this is where the greatest amount of monetary abundance starts to flow, right? And again, there's this whole series of things that we walk people through as we go through this journey, just literally like a roadmap, as the graphic shows, in order to help you get where you need to go. The last level that we work with is the freedom level, which is someone that's got practitioner mastery, they've become a very successful business owner, and they've got the financial gains. And now they want to actually have some freedom. They want to actually be able to enjoy their lives and take the trips they want to take and spend the time with their family and their hobbies and their sports and things, and yet still be able to make a difference in their lives, feel fulfilled with their work, and also continue to make tremendous monetary gains. So again, an entirely different group of steps that need to be taken through the roadmap in order to, become masterful at that level. So tonight's conversation, you guys, again, with Think Rich to Be Rich, is literally, let me just switch things over here, and I'm going to be going to my iPad for just a moment. So let me just stop the screen share here for a moment, which I believe I've successfully done. And as we switch over to this other technology here, so this is the business owner mastery, or the money manifestation level, okay? And really specifically, what we're going to work on tonight is right in here underneath the focus pillar. And we're going to be talking about a strong abundance consciousness, and how having a strong abundance consciousness is absolutely essential in order to move forward on your journey through the roadmap to get to your destination of living the life that you desire and that you deserve. So that should hopefully give you context for tonight's conversation and where we're at and where we're headed. So without too much further ado, let's get back to screen sharing, and we're going to get into this dialogue here tonight, okay? So let me just hit that next button. So again, there are a series of frustrations that I find as I travel the world and talk to docs, whether I'm doing it live, now that the world is right on its axis, or whether we're still doing some of it by Zoom as we are tonight. But one of the things that I hear very commonly from docs is that they get very frustrated by the fact that they seem to work, how hard they work is not always correlated to the amount of return they get in terms of the monetary thing, right? This is a frustration that they have because it's like there's a Western cultural mythos that says that, the harder I work, the more money I make. And that's absolutely not true. It's 100% false, actually. It's not, sorry, I shouldn't say it's 100% false. I would say it's not as accurate as most people have been led to believe. And I certainly grew up with that mantra. I grew up as a blue collar farm kid. I know what it's like to put 12, 14, even 16-hour days in, whether it's in the bush as a lumberjack with my dad, or whether it's on the farm baling hay or stooking grain or all of the things we used to do, right? And the farm life's a great life, but there isn't a lot of monetary reward. It's fulfilling from the inside out based upon enjoying the work. And yet there's a lot of docs out there that are working very hard, spinning their wheels a lot of times because it's not creating the money. And there's an answer to that. And this is what we're talking about tonight is how you need to be able to learn to think rich in order to be rich. Another frustration is this thought process that people have that, it just seems to come easy to others. It's like, one of the sayings that was around my cultural area when I was a kid was, that guy could fall into a pile of manure and come out with a suit pressed, right? And so in other words, it appears that some people are lucky that they just know how to really just make things work. And yet, if you look at the number of hours they work, they are working the same or sometimes less hours. And yet the monetary piece just seems to come to them really naturally. And quite frankly, that pisses a lot of people off. It's like, wait, what's different about them and so on. And we're going to talk about what's different about them tonight so that we can get, you moving in the direction that you want to move in, right? People actually start to get to the point where they start to second guess themselves and they go, you know what, do I even deserve this? Am I even cut from the right stuff? Am I even in the right profession? Right? Because I'm putting in the hours, but I'm not seeing the results. And there's many reasons why that could be the case, but we're really focusing on the one focus block tonight in our focus pillar of the many that we have in that part of our coaching program. And specifically, we're talking about abundance consciousness and how when you're not in the proper mindset around abundance consciousness, you're not taking the proper action steps, you haven't developed the right capabilities, you're going to end up in this kind of a situation where you're literally pushing away abundance in your life. Now, again, there's a saying we have at Full Circle that says, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so in that positioning, you guys, what we realize is that if you're pushing away abundance in your monetary life, you're also pushing away depth of relationships. You're pushing away understanding. You're pushing away other things in your life that you feel are important to you or how you define abundance, not just in the monetary world. And so we obviously want a solution to that because what people are looking for is a way to really enjoy their life. And this is one of my favorite graphics or slides right now, right? This bottom one is a picture of my family, the Preston family, our nuclear biological family. And this is my tribe, our tribe, I say, with my wife, Shelley, and our 5 daughters and their significant others, and the 3 grandkids, Lincoln, Finley, and Hadley. And that's certainly a big part of the reason why I enjoy my life. And I think that family seems to be a strong bond to pretty much everybody, a value to pretty much everybody that I've worked with, at least in my almost 30-year coaching career as of this particular recording. I'm also an outdoorsman. I hunt and fish and spend a lot of time in the outdoors, do kayaking and hiking and lots of things. And this is just a picture, I think, that our PowerPoint editor grabbed of me out on a lake recently, living my life in my ideal, because that's what we want, gang, right? We want to be able to live our life in our ideal and be able to enjoy our life and not become boring workaholics. Thinking rich to grow rich is a part of that, right? And yes, there's people that find a way to not enjoy a lot of monetary abundance and still really enjoy their life and their freedom, and that's fantastic. I would offer this, though, that, there's nothing wrong with the financial piece, as we're going to talk about tonight. And it actually does allow you to leverage yourself and enjoy life in other ways that you might not have the opportunity to do if you were just, living in a cardboard box underneath an expressway somewhere, right? Everybody that I talk to too, they want to be able to know that the amount of energy they put into their life and their business equals the amount of energy out, right? It's like that other slide I just showed you, where one of the frustrations is that, the amount of energy or time or effort that they're putting forth does not equal the amount of dollars. And that's what we all want, right? We want to really feel like the amount of energy we're putting in is really equal to the amount of energy we're getting out, in the form of money, right? And the bottom line is then we get a chance to really, what we desire is what we deserve, right? And the two things go hand in hand. And I would offer that anybody listening to this recording or anybody here tonight, that what you desire is what you deserve. And you deserve that in your life. You provide an amazing service to humanity. You need to not forget that. And this conversation we're having tonight may be one of the linchpins that's blocking you from getting that last little piece of the puzzle solved out, so that you can be in fair exchange. As I reflect on some of the miracles that happened in my chiropractic practice over the years, I mean, people, not that I think that chiropractic is the treatment of anything, right? It's not the treatment of low back pain or cancer or hemorrhoids or anything else, headaches or otherwise. It's a treatment of people. And some people have conditions. And if people's nerve systems are out of line and out of balance and stuff, well, then there's all kinds of dis-E states they could have, stinking thinking, as well as different physical and physiological challenges, right? But what we want is to be in fair exchange for the amazing difference that we make in people's lives. That's really what the bottom line is, okay? So I want to tell you a story about a guy I know pretty well, actually. His name's Dr. Tom. And when I think about the shifts that I made in my thinking around finance, specifically finance and abundance, beforehand, I mean, as I said earlier, I grew up a relatively lower middle class, blue collar family. I was the poor farm kid, right? We didn't have a lot of monetary abundance. We had the 3 square meals a day usually, and I mean, it was fine. It was a fine upbringing. I heard a lot of discussions / fights about money in my family, and my mom and dad did not do well with those discussions. They didn't hide from it. It was a big source of discord. And I can remember hearing things as a kid, maybe some of you did as well. It's like, you know what, we aren't like those people, meaning the rich people, right? It's like there was something different about them, and after many, many years of study and so on, right, I had a big shift in mindset, which we're going to be talking about here real soon. I got into fair exchange for the incredible service I offer humanity, both in my hands-on practice and as a coach consultant around the world. And I ended up with an abundance of time, which is my number one priority, abundance of time to live my life in my ideal, which is why I've been taking 10 to 12 weeks of holidays a year for over 30 years. Working a 25 to 30, occasionally 35, but usually 25 to 30 hour work week. And I've got an abundance of finances. Let's be clear, I'm no Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, but relative to the very humble beginnings, my wife and I have done well financially. And just as importantly, if not arguably more importantly, I have an abundance of really deep, meaningful relationships, both with my wife and my children and my really dear and close friends, both in and out of our amazing profession. So I know that what I'm going to talk to you about tonight and what I'm teaching tonight can make a big difference in your life, because I'm living proof. Okay. So let's talk about the 5 keys here, you guys. And we're going to talk again. I brought the slide up earlier. We're going to talk about mindset. Talk about owning it, affirmations, the bliss sheet, and tracking it, okay? And we're going to talk and start with mindset, because I really do believe that everything starts with mindset, all right? And so I've got a little questionnaire here to run through. If you signed up for this program, if you're not getting some recordings, you will have had worksheets with this. So you should have a worksheet that will walk you through this little questionnaire, okay? And so here's how you're going to do this questionnaire. If you don't have the worksheet, it's no big deal. Just take a piece of paper and write 1 to 7 on it, okay? Or take your phone and notes and put, 1 to 7 on it, all right? Because there's going to be 7 questions around your mindset around money, your relationship with money, okay? And you're going to answer the questions by rating them from 1 to 10. Now, it's an interesting way to rate, because 1 means this does not apply to me, or I do not agree with the question. 100% it doesn't even apply to me, okay? Anywhere up to a 10 means I do agree with the question and it does apply to me. So the way the question is stated is really important, obviously, to listen to. 1 doesn't apply, 10, it really does apply, obviously, any gradient within. And please do not overanalyze this, you guys, right? Just go with your gut. We're going to move pretty quickly so that you can't get all stinking thinking about this and think about, well, in this situation, it's this, and in this situation, it's that. It's like, yeah, we're not doing that tonight, okay? We're going to do a little tally at the end. Then I'll show you where your mindset is around abundance, because just as that slide earlier showed, you may be pushing abundance away, right? Without even realizing it, because of your relationship with money and how you think about money. All right. So let's move ahead, you guys. And we're going to be talking about first question. If you agree with this, like it's who you are and it makes sense to you. If I get rich, everyone will want something from me. If I get rich, everyone will want something from me. Just score that from 1 to 10. It's like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's not real for me. Or yeah, that's 100% real for me. I know people are going to want something from me, and I got to think of a bunch of people that will. That's a 10 for you. Obviously, anywhere in between. If I really strive for wealth and don't succeed, I will feel like a failure. This is a very common one. These are the most common ones we've seen in our almost 30-year coaching career. If I really strive for wealth and don't succeed, I'll feel like a failure. If that's something that sounds like you, 10. If that 100% isn't true, it's a 1, any point in between. I don't like selling or promoting. This is really common in the healthcare industry. I don't like selling or promoting, right? If that's true, 10. If it's not, 1, anywhere in between. Having a lot of money is a big responsibility, and you can decide what a lot of money is. That's different. Some people it's $100, some people it's $1 million, some people it's 100 million. It's irrelevant. It's where your mindset goes when you think about money, okay? Having a lot of money is a big responsibility. Yes? 10. No? 1. If I get rich, there are certain people in my life who won't like it or won't like me. This is actually kind of sometimes tied to the first one here that we talked about. So again, if that feels true to you, 10 or a high number, close to 10, and if not, it's a 1. I'm not very good. I'm not very good in the area of money and finances. If you're like, yep, that sounds like me, then it's a high number, a 10. If not, it's a low number. And finally, I'm a good giver, but I'm not a good receiver. I'm a good giver, but not a good receiver. If that's you, high number, arguably maybe a 10, or obviously somewhere in between. All right, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to tally this up, right? Tell me you're not going to get your phones out to do this because that would almost be embarrassing. You want to just basically run this up somewhere. It's going to, could be anywhere from 7 to 70. Okay, so just add the numbers up and let's see where we stand. All right. So if you have less than 20 in your score, okay, you've got a pretty decent relationship with money. This is actually the minority of the people that we actually interact with here. Okay. So if it's less than 20, your score, decent relationship with money. If you get somewhere between 20 and 40, our experience says you got a few money hangups, but it's probably mostly tied to your ability to receive. This is a really common thing, particularly in healthcare industries. People are great givers, not good receivers. Somewhere between 40 and 50, you got some pretty significant money issues that are blocking your ability to receive and serve at your highest level. You may are likely actually pushing abundance away. You just might not have been aware of it until this moment in time. All right. And if you got more than 60, you got what we would call a massive scarcity consciousness, and you are 100% pushing abundance out of your life. Okay. So let's go in and let's look at the 10 rules about money, or the 10 really good understandings about money. Okay. First one is to realize that money is just energy, right? When Einstein said that E equals mc squared and that energy and mass or matter are interchangeable, the closer you get the speed of light squared, he 100% redefined a lot of things in the physical world, but particularly money, because it's hard to understand sometimes with our physical senses that, this stuff here that I'm touching is just energy moving slowly, relatively speaking, slowly, right? And money being a substrate or a part of the physical world is just energy. Now, what does that mean? Well, because it's energy, money is therefore neither inherently good or bad, right? It's just energy. It's like saying people are inherently good or bad. They're just people, right? And so it's like saying that wood is inherently good or bad. Depends upon the scenario. If it's a storm or a tornado or a hurricane and a big tree falls, you go, wood's bad. But if the wood helps build your home, you go, it's good. No, it's neither. It's just energy. It's how you use it. Okay. So as a form of energy, money is infinite. We know that based upon the law of conservation of energy, we know that energy can neither be created nor dissipated. It can only change forms. Okay. So if energy is just money and money is just energy, and energy can neither be created nor dissipated, only change forms, that means money being a part of energy is as infinite as energy is. And if you look at some of the quantum physicists and what they're teaching us about the universe and the physical world and the amount of energy that's in the universe, it's literally, it's undefinable at this point. Our human minds just can't grasp how big that is, right? I often like to use the analogy of love because it knows no bounds. And just because I have, some love for someone does not mean I have some love for another. And if you're a parent, I know I was terrified when Shelley, my wife, was pregnant with our second daughter, Tess, because I did not know I could love something as much as I loved our first daughter, Jara. And I was secretly terrified when she was pregnant with Tess because I thought somehow I would be minimizing my love for Jara by, loving the second child. I would be like halving it or something, right? And I didn't want to do that. And the very nanosecond that Tess was born, I realized that, my love for Jara wasn't minimized because I love this, because love is infinite, it has no bounds, right? And the same is true of money. Number 4, money is a form of exchange or barter. It's just a lot easier to quantify than guessing, that 2 chickens converts to 2 loaves of bread or 6 loaves of bread or 10 loaves of bread or whatever, right? Because when people came out of the caves and we became, civilized, that's debatable. What happened was people started to specialize, and we had people that were good at farming and people that were good at building homes. And so they were bartering, exchanging and doing things for each other, but it became very confusing as we specialized more and more. So it literally became, they started it with shells, and then they went to gold, and then they, eventually they turned it into gold coins, which then turned into fiat currency. And there's a whole structure to that, right? By the way, Neil Ferguson out of the UK, Niall, Neil Ferguson, wrote a great book on the Ascent of Money. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I'll get you the title. Money is a way to stockpile energy as well, because in the old days, particularly in the commodities were grains and stuff like that, you're at the mercy of the crops. And so a farmer who was, growing grains, for example, to make wheat, to make bread and stuff, he would cut his grain in the fall, put it in the stockpiles, but then it would get moldy and rotten and stuff. And he had like no way to exchange for, whatever, milk, eggs, other things and stuff, right? Later. So money became a go-between where you could actually, sell a bunch of that grain and stockpile the money and then use it to, dribble out later. So it makes tons of sense when you actually think about it, you guys. As a vehicle exchange, if you want more, you have to exchange more. Either increase the value of your product or service in the eyes of consumers, or exchange higher quantities. It's really straightforward. It's the producer model. Ayn Rand was famous for this in her objectivist philosophy, talking about how money is just a vehicle of exchange. And I will say this, saving money is very wise, but hoarding money is a sign of poverty or scarcity consciousness. It's like, money's like blood. It needs to flow. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't save. And every great writer in history has said that 10% of revenue is a really good target. I know when I first did work on this many years ago, you guys, I was saving 0.5, 0.5% of revenue into savings, because I have massive scarcity consciousness from, my upbringing. And my wife and I have gone at times where we're saving, for many years, we're saving 10%, and then we grew it to 20%. And, we've been all over the place with it since then, but in that 10 to 20% range is our target, and we commonly manifest that. Last couple, you guys, it does not take money to make money. It takes an exchange of value and energy done either through service or products. You can use the intermediary of money, but it's not necessary. What you really have to do is provide value to other people. Okay, so that's a big myth about money. And what you value values you. And I use the example of old grandmother money, right? Now that I'm a grandparent, if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Tom, how would you like, I'd like to take Hattie, Finley, and Link out to the park." And I'm like, okay, are you reliable? Will you look after them? Do you care about them? And they're like, "Yeah, I'm okay with kids, but whatever. I don't really value kids that much." And it's like, yeah, see you later. You're not looking after my grandkids. So imagine, just hypothesize that money is old grandmother money. And what is she going to do? Is she going to, if you don't value money and you say, "Yeah, money doesn't matter, it's stupid, I don't care about it." No, grandmother money's not going to release her children to you, her dollars to you, right? And the final one, which is one of the ones that I think is the most important one, is money is just an amplifier, right? A great person will just become a greater person with money. It'll just amplify their greatness. But if you're an asshole, you're just going to be a bigger asshole with money, right? I've had the privilege of knowing many millionaires, no billionaires yet, but lots of millionaires. And I will say this, you guys, that I've seen some very unhappy, multi-millionaires, and I've seen some really happy ones. And what I realized was they have about the same amount of money. So it's not the money that's making them happy. It's who they are, right? I've met some people without money that are great. I've met some people with money who aren't great. And again, the key is it's not the money. It's the person, it's the people, right? And so understanding that would help you get a better awareness of that, right? So what I would encourage you to do would be to go back through and redo this quiz, you guys. And I've done this in live events before, getting people to, after just that short review we just did of the consciousness and mindset around money, how when people do that, it actually, their scores can change. I've seen scores change as much as 40% just in that little 10-minute dialogue we just had around the mindset of money. Okay. So do yourself a favor and do that, because you absolutely deserve to be wealthy. You provide an amazing service to humanity, and you deserve to be wealthy. All right, the second point I want to talk about tonight is owning where you are. Wherever you are in life, right now is own it. There's a saying in self-development that says, you can't leave a place you've never been. Just think about it for a second. You can't leave, St. Louis, Missouri, if you've never been there. It's geographically impossible, right? So again, if you can't own where you're at with your mindset around money and your abundance consciousness and the amount of money you have, whether it's 17 cents, between the cushions on the Chesterfield, or whether it's millions of dollars in investments in the bank, or whatever it is, wherever you're at, being able to take ownership of that is absolutely crucial. And certainly it's a big part of what our clients go through on their journey with us as they go through the roadmap. The third thing I want you to consider or take advantage of is affirmations. Affirmations are things that you say to yourself. Doing some work with Deepak Chopra's organization years ago, I realized from his study in psychology that his study showed that 95% of the thoughts that people have are pretty much the same thoughts they had the day before and the day before and the day before. We're kind of boring. And 95% of those thoughts, when you actually break them down, the quiet ones, the quiet thoughts, not the things you say to the world, but the quiet ones, is negative self-talk. We talk terribly to ourselves, you guys. We got 3 PhDs and 2 black belts beating the crap out of ourselves. So what affirmations do, it's a way to actually state things in the affirmative, state things that you hope or you suspect or hopefully are true, but you just don't allow yourself to admit it to yourself, right? So they're always spoken in first person, right? And they should be said in the affirmative. So not like I want to or I will be. You say I am. Okay, I am. So one of my affirmations I do every morning, you guys, is I provide a phenomenal service of love to my amazing clientele and earn a tremendous profit proportional to that service, equal to a minimum of 5.5 million in any given year. Okay. Now, we don't necessarily always generate a $5 million revenue. That's a target we have, but that's our affirmation that we're speaking to know that that's where we want to head. Okay. Now, BLISS stands for the Business Life Plan Intention Sheet. Okay. And this is, again, something that's on our client journey. And it's a way for you to actually get your magic number. And I took the time, you guys, to actually, I have a video on YouTube that's got quite a bit of traction. So let me just go and put that in here for you. And that link I just put in the chat, you guys, is a link to a video I did on how to find your magic number. It's training we did actually through this series of Work Smarter, Not Harder, that you guys are connected to tonight. And hey, hello, Chrissy and Anthony and Adam. Nice to have you with us. And so the idea behind this, you guys, is to find your magic number of exactly how, what level of finance, what level of money do you actually want to generate in order to have the life that you desire and deserve. Okay. Hey, Stuart, nice to have you with us. And so this is the goal of the BLISS sheet, is to really just help you understand and develop that number. I was speaking at Edmonton one time, you guys, and I had a doc there who was quite well known in the region, won't mention his name. And I asked him, how many do you want to see a week, doc? Which implies how much money you wanted to generate. It was kind of part of a training we were doing. And he goes, 400 a week. And I said, okay, cool. I said, why? And he goes, well, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, yeah, but why? And he goes, well, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, but why? And we kept this up for I think it was 8 or 9 times, you guys. And finally, he just flies up out of his chair and he goes, I don't effing know why. And the bottom line, you guys, is most people really don't know what level of finance would make them happy, because we live in a culture that believes or feels or teaches that, more is always better and bigger is always better. And I remember there was a period of time in my practice where I was paying 6-figure income tax. Very first time I paid 6-figure income tax, I realized there was a certain amount of pain associated with bigger is better and more is better, right? Then at that point, because I wasn't in the state I am now, relative to my abundance mindset and the tools and capabilities I've developed that I now teach, I can tell you that there was that era, if I had stopped working, I probably would have been bankrupt in a couple, 3 months, right? So again, knowing your numbers, knowing when enough is really a key thing. That training I threw in there, you guys, it's off my YouTube channel. Please take advantage of it. Click the link and have a look. The last piece, you guys, is tracking. You must track your finances. If you're not tracking your finances, you're really living in a state of either fantasy or what I call ostrich syndrome, which is where you're sticking your head in the sand and you're trying to pretend that, the world isn't going on around you, right? This actually ties to that one we did earlier which is really just owning where you're at, right? It's really looking at the benefits. Even if you're in a tough financial spot right now, there's always benefits. There's always equal gains to losses. The universe is balanced at all times. It just may be times where I misperceive the blessings that are in the tough spots, right? And the other side is true, right? In the tough spots, there's blessings, and in blessings, there's tough spots. And being aware of that is really wise. So one of the things when you're tracking, you get a chance to set intentions going forward using the law of attraction. And you then track and just see whether you're on target or not. If you are, celebrate the shit out of that. Like, that's amazing. That's incredible. You're probably one of the few people that's doing that. But if you're not, then it's like, why aren't you? Is it because you're in a fantasy and you're looking for things that aren't real, that you aren't manifesting, and it's just a fantasy you bought into from some influencer in your life? Or is there capabilities and skill sets you haven't developed? And if there are, then you should be turning to somebody for help, or your coach for help, to see how that you could develop those capabilities to get on track with what it is your dreams are. Because as I said earlier, you guys, you deserve to have a great life. Whatever you desire, you deserve. It's all part of the plan for finances and abundance. Okay. So hopefully if you, when you register for this, you got a worksheet. And I want to do, I like these diagrams, you guys, because they really help me to put pictures together. I'm a very picture-oriented guy. And so I want to draw something out for you here. And if you've got the worksheet, please just follow along, okay? So that I can, let's just get that out of the way. And I want to just be sure, hang on one second here. I want to be sure that I'm actually showing you guys the right thing here. So let's just get the iPad hooked up. It'll just take me half a second. And there we go. That's what I was looking to see coming up. Okay. So again, the conversation we're having, you guys, and if you got here a tiny bit late, that's okay. We're talking about thinking rich to grow rich. And in specific, we're talking around abundance. And let's be clear, there's a lot of components to abundance. There's abundance of time, there's abundance of love, there's abundance of relationships. But in this specific case, we're really targeting the concept of money. Okay. And so we're going to put that in green. And, again, as I was saying earlier, there's many components to this. We talked about the mindset of money. And in specific, we went through that little quiz to see just where you stand with your consciousness and mindset around money. I know when I first did a quiz like that many years ago, my mindset around money was not optimal. It was very much from a scarcity standpoint. And I was literally pushing abundance away, right? Without even realizing it. Everybody has a thermometer for finance and abundance in their lives. And when and what that means is when you get close to whatever that subconscious mindset is around how much money you desire and deserve, literally you'll start to self-sabotage your business in order to bring yourself back down. And if you get too low, then you'll, start marketing and do other things like crazy to get yourself back up. And it's a sine wave that goes on all the time. Okay. So mindset is an entire category here, you guys, right? We're also going to talk about, let's change that color. I don't like that color too much. We're also going to be talking about tools that you could or should be developing. And finally, we're also going to be talking about action steps. I'm going to put those in red. Okay. So, because what I want out of this, you guys, some people ask me, I had a person ask me recently, he goes, hey, Tom, you do these teachings all the time. Like, what's in it for you, man? I said, well, you know what? We leverage these teachings because our clients have access to them as part of their Client Learning Center portal. But I said, you know what? I feel like there's three ways to really give back to the profession that's given me so much, right? There's education. And I know there's been several chiropractic teaching institutions tried to recruit me. Life tried to recruit me. Life West tried to recruit me. Palmer tried to recruit me years ago. Doesn't feel like my vibe to be in that bureaucratic education model. And then there's, the political side of it, the supposed political, leadership sort of side of it, right? And in that side, it just does not feel like my jam, my bling at all, right? But in this case, it's business, you guys, right? And helping people who, just like you, who are here tonight. Hey, Barry, hey, Nancy, nice to have you guys with us. To have you guys and help you guys, build the lives and the businesses that you desire and that you deserve, right? So listen, if you're just joining us, I feel like there might have been a bit of a miscue on the time of tonight, right? But that's okay. We're kind of deep into the training tonight, you guys. If you've got the worksheets, please grab them, right? Particularly if you got one that looks like this particular diagram here, kind of a triangle with some sidebars. And we're going to be talking in this piece of the puzzle here, you guys, let's just do a nice funky color here. Let's do pink. We're going to be going into 3 steps around mindset. We're going to be talking about some of the tools we really want you to have access to and some of the action steps I want you to take as a result of our training tonight. Okay. So let's go in and let's talk about mindset here first. Okay. And relative to mindset, the very first thing that I want you to remember, and if you were here just a little bit earlier, was we went through that quiz, is that really, really take ownership that money is really just energy. Okay. And if you haven't studied quantum physics to any depth, and I'm certainly no quantum physicist by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been fascinated by it. I've taken a few courses. And when you really get into the depths of energy and what it is, and you hear guys like Einstein, Albert Einstein, who said that, behind the physical universe is just energy. And behind that is a supreme intelligence. I mean, he was a pretty deeply committed spiritual guy, right? But even on the surface, you guys, if you just go to the energy plane, you realize that money is just energy. And as a result of that, energy is infinite, money is infinite. Energy can neither be created nor dissipated. It can only change forms. Money can neither be created nor dissipated. It can only change forms. And the amount of value you bring to the culture, the amount of energy you put in, and it predicates the amount that you get back. And that's a really important mindset piece to focus on. And I really want you guys to have some ownership of that. Okay. The other one that I just really want to take a good moment here is, what's actually one of my favorite teachings around money is an amplifier. Okay. So again, what does that mean? Well, it means if you're a butthole, you're going to be a bigger butthole with more money. And if you're a really nice person, you're just going to be that much more of a nice person with money, right? Which validates that it's got nothing to do with money. Money's been vilified in order to control the minds of people for years and years and years and decades and centuries, right? And so when people say, you've heard things, and I used to hear this as a kid, that money was the root of all evil and money doesn't grow on trees and all of this kind of BS, when really it's got very little to do with the money. Money's just an amplifier. It's about people, and it's about value, and about value creation and what you do. And when you can get your head screwed on straight around that, it makes a ton of difference in terms of what you can do. The last piece around mindset, you guys, is to just, and I talked about this a lot, is own where you are. And if you're in a great financial position, or you're in a tough financial position, just take ownership of it and do an exercise, do a balancing exercise. Okay. And what I would encourage you to do is literally just take a page, draw it in half, and then just put, money up on one side and put like the pros of where you're at right now financially and the cons. And I'm going to bet that you could probably do the cons a hell of a lot faster than you could do the pros, right? And it's like, well, this and that, and the next thing, blah, 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 blah. And if you're somebody like me that I've been working on this for a long time, you guys, right? But I still use my P&L sheets every month as a scorecard, literally a freaking scorecard. And it's like, you know what? If I have a great financial month, it's like, woohoo, I'm a rock star. If I have a shitty financial month, I suck, right? And it's an absolutely nutty mindset. And I have worked diligently for almost 30 years to eliminate it. And I'm much closer than I was. But I still have months where, that little monster creeps its head up, right? And so you literally go in, you guys, you start looking for the pros, and you look at it across your entire aspect of life, right? You look at it in your physical life, you look at it in your mental life, you look at it in your spiritual life, you look at it in your family life, you look at it in your social life, and you look at it in your career, and you look at it in your, literally just in terms of raw dollars, financial world, okay? And if you're doing the exercise properly, and certainly if you've got a coach to support you, that would be a great boon. But you can actually just take complete ownership of where you're at. And when you take ownership of where you're at, you can then actually beautifully leave that space. Again, I used the goofy analogy geography. Let me say it again, just so to really cement it in. You can't leave a place you've never been. You can't leave Hong Kong. You've never been there, right? But you can't leave whatever financial state you're in unless you can take ownership and learn to, here's the word, you ready? This might be one worth working down, you guys. You ready? Here we go. Gonna lean in a little bit. You gotta learn to love it. Wherever you're at, learn to love it. Wherever you're at, just learn to love it. because there's always equal pros to cons to wherever you are in life. But I promise you, the probability of leaving your financial state, if you can't learn to love where you're at, really, really small, super small. Okay. Let's talk about some tools, okay, that I want you to either re-implement into your life, or if there aren't regular parts of your life, to start to implement into your life, okay? So one is to really get clarity on the law of attraction. The law of attraction is an incredible tool that says that those things that you focus on, you bring into your life. But it's not quite as simple, you guys, as just literally focusing your mind and going, I want a new, cherry red 10-speed Schwinn bicycle, right? It's as much, if not arguably, I would offer more so the vibration, your state of being that you're in. And can you be in a state of gratitude, not only for where you are, but can you feel vibrationally the state that you want to be in when you achieve whatever it is that your heart desires, whatever it is that you're intending? State, vibration, essence is so much more important than the law of attraction than most people put it out to be. And people say, Tom, you talk to me about affirmations. I do affirmations every day. I say, yeah, but your state sucks. You're not in a good state of beingness when you're doing those affirmations. You're not in a state of receivership, right? You're not in a state of vibration, of harmony and balance and growth and gratitude for life as it is, right? The great manifestors of life have been quoted as saying some version of this, you guys, okay? I'm intending this in my life. If it serves my highest good, because then they can release it to the universe and trust the universe is providing if it's in their highest good. And then the very last thing they say, you guys, thank you. Now, why would you say thank you at the end of that? I'm intending this. If it serves my highest good, thank you. Because the really powerful manifestors know that it's on its way. They know it's on its way. So they say thank you for that certainty, that knowingness. What they don't know, and they're not attached to, is the exact form it's going to show up in, or the exact timeline. Because when you can stay in the mystery of life, you guys, when you can stay in that state of curiosity and mystery and go, I'm intending this, and it feels like this, and it looks like this, and I have gratitude for that form. But if it shows up like this, that's okay. I trust that that serves my highest good. And I trust that the timeline that it comes in, whether it's quicker than I thought or it takes longer than I thought, I trust that that's okay. And I can tell you guys 100%, if you believe in life lessons and so on, I am 100% clear that my soul's journey this lifetime, the thing that I'm working on the most, besides patience, right? I got 5 kids, just so you know, right? 5 daughters at that, right? The thing I'm working on the most this lifetime is trust. Remembering that I'm a child of God. God doesn't make any junk, and trusting that the timelines and the form of when things occur are serving me, right? It's getting into that ego state of, I know more than the creative intelligence. It should look like this. It should happen tomorrow, right? Talk about, it's either the greatest example of arrogance on the history of the planet, or it's the greatest example of naivety. One or the other, you guys. It's a really extreme scenario. Okay. All right. I think we got to make sure that we get this thing back up. Here we go. Tools. Let's talk about another tool. We talked about this a little bit earlier in our conversation. Affirmations. And now that a few more people have joined us, I'm really just curious in the chat, you guys. I love to use the chat, but it's not always possible with different people and stuff. But I'm just curious, how many people, just throw it in the chat, just you put your fingers on your phone or your keyboard. How many people do affirmations on a regular basis? And by regular, I mean multiple times a week, if not daily. How many people do? Just throw it in me. Just throw it in the chat. Yep. Barry says, yes, I do. Cool. Nancy does. Yes. Cool. A couple of really high-end full circle clients right there. That's what I'm talking about, right? You've been well coached. Love that. Chrissy says, in the past, cool. Maybe as a result of our conversation tonight, Chrissy, you'll get back to it. It'll become a more regular part of your life, right? Affirmations are a powerful thing, you guys. Again, if you weren't here a little bit earlier, reminder of the 95% of our self-talk is negative, and it's the same talk we had yesterday. Stuart says, no, haven't got at it yet, but Stu, maybe as a result of this conversation, right, you can get into that state of I am, right? And the piece that runs through. I developed a series of 9, you guys, man, quite a while ago now, quite a long while ago, probably 15 years ago. And I would say that probably to the 95th, 99th percentile, I do them every day. It's just become a part of my morning rituals, right? To just do that. And I will offer this, you guys, relative to anything, whether you're affirmations or whatever. Link it to something you already do. Okay, link it to something you already do, and you'll have a much higher probability of success as a result of linking it. So what I do, you guys, is some of you that are clients know this. I have my morning rituals, which involves morning meditation. And I had a conversation with my daughters recently because we were having a little time together like that. And she was disagreeing with me about something. And I said, that's fine. And she goes, Dad, thinking your thinking's a little bit screwed up on this. And I said, well, sweetie, you're entitled to your opinion. We got different values about that. That's for sure. But I said, if you think I'm screwed up, can you imagine how screwed up I'd be if I hadn't been meditating every day for 30 years? She goes, good point, Dad. Stick to your meditation. So my morning rituals involves meditation, and then it involves Taoist Tai Chi, yoga. And then at the end of the yoga set, I use a yoga block and I do some sacral pumps and I do some mid-back stuff and whatever. And it's while I'm in that relaxed sort of shavasana state that I do my affirmations, right? One other tip to affirmations, if you're not doing these regularly, or maybe you forget this, it's very important that you say them out loud. Don't say them in your head. Physically move your lips, okay? Because it creates a kinesthetic vibration. It creates an auditory cue as well. So you're activating more senses in the physical realm, and you're moving them through. And again, don't forget, it must be done in the affirmative. So it's I am, not I want to or I will. It's I am, right? So anyways, if you guys want, I could run through a couple of my affirmations a little bit later once we go through some of this stuff, because they're pretty much done to memory here. All right, let's go through one other tool that I'd like to talk about here, you guys. It's what I call a forced accelerated. Ooh, that one isn't fitting. A forced accelerated, let's go out over here. Savings plan. Okay. What the hell is a forced accelerated savings plan? And I'll definitely give credit to my mentor, Dr. John DeMartini, on this. He was the one that taught me this concept years ago. And it was very much an important tool that my wife and I used for many years to go from saving 0.5, 0.5% of revenue, a little bit embarrassing, but that was just our reality at the time, 0.5% of revenue, to climbing through over the course of a period of time to get to at the 10% target, which most of the great writings on finance today, 10% of revenue is a great target to have for savings, okay? Wayne Dyer, who was someone that I admired a great deal, I heard him say one time at a program that he actually targeted 20%. And I went, well, that seems like a cool number. So my wife and I actually continue to use the forced accelerated savings plan to grow to 20% of revenue for a period of time. Now we've backed off on that. We've had these things called grandchildren, which we're making other commitments to in the big rocks category. But we commonly oscillate between 10 and 20% of revenue. And here's what a forced accelerated savings plan is, you guys, right? Let me just get this clear as I can on this. Maybe I'll actually come off share for just a minute here and make sure that I can get back to it, all right? So a forced accelerated savings plan, what you do is this. And again, one of the rules that I have around finance is you must track it, okay? You must track your intention for what it is you want it to look like, and then track it on a monthly basis, some version of a profit and loss statement. We use the bliss sheet in our programs in order to know where you're at. And then it's just, you have an awareness, right? You don't obsess about the numbers, you don't obsess about the stats, but you have an awareness. So you're not ostriching, head in the sand, I don't know, right? You ever seen, I love this with my grandkids now, they're old enough now, they're like playing hide and seek, right? Pa, I can't say, hiding. It's like, okay, I can see you, okay? That's what ostriches do. They put their head in the sand, pretend it's not real, right? Or the other side of it is you go, to the other place where you just obsess about it, right? Neither of those is fantastic. Awareness is very key, all right? So here's what you do. You set a target. Right now, everybody here on this call should set a target for the amount of money you absolutely know without fail you could put into savings every month for the next year. And it doesn't matter if it's $5 a month or $50 a month or $500 a month or 5,000 or 5 million. The number is not as important as the habit that goes in it, okay? And then what you do on a quarterly basis is you create a forced accelerated plan. So the next quarter you say, okay, if you're saving $100 this month, then the next quarter you're going to force yourself to save 10 to 15% more of that. So you'd save $115. every month in the next quarter. And the next quarter, it would be $131 a month or whatever the exact math is, right? And by doing that, you can actually grow the amount of dollars that goes, because you're setting clear intentions. You're in a vibrational state through the law of attraction as to what it is you wanted and why you want it and what the gratitude you're going to have when that comes to your life. And then you have the courage, Nancy, the courage to actually put that money into a vessel to receive, right? Whether it's an envelope or more likely an electronic, savings account somewhere in some bank or some financial institution, right? But have the courage to actually put that money there. And in our bliss sheets at Full Circle, we teach people to put their savings money first. It's a hard habit to build, but it's a super important one, to build. Okay, so that's what a forced accelerated savings plan is all about. I've taught it for many years, and it has helped many of our clients go from saving, peanuts to saving, a significant amount of dollars. Okay, now let's look at the actions, you guys. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Let's do some nice funky color. This is being recorded in the fall, so we'll do it like a Halloween color. All right, so we talked about the, one thing I already let go. We're going to be talking about the bliss sheet and finding your magic number. Okay. And your magic number, again, for clarity, your magic number is the amount of dollars you want to generate in your life in order to live your life in your ideal. So that starts out with having an awareness of what your ideal is, and then putting a dollar value to that. A lot of the great things in life, at least in my life, you guys, based upon my values, don't cost a lot, right? We have dinner together every night of the week with our family, with our children, probably 360 plus days of 365 a year. That was a very important value to us. We're going to eat anyway, so it doesn't really cost anything more, but it's super important to us. So defining what that is and then putting a price tag to how you want to live your life is what that exercise is all about. And again, if you want to learn how to do that, you guys, if you look up a little bit farther in the chat, I've got a link there to a training I did. It's in YouTube. You can go through and do that whole training and learn how to do that in great detail. Okay. The other thing you must do, you guys, is, and this is kind of a step analogous to the bliss, is you got to have goals for where the dollars are going to go. Okay. Again, I said this earlier, hoarding money is a really bad idea. Saving money as a target and intention is wise. Hoarding it is not wise, because money is like blood. It wants to flow. It needs to flow. So showing the universe how you're going to use the money that supports your values is really wise. And literally sitting out there, and in the Full Circle world, we call those big rocks, right, Nancy? Right? We call those big rocks. Things that light up your soul and make you emotionally excited about your life, right? And showing the universe where those dollars are going to go. No, not just big rocks, because most of us don't live in cardboard boxes under expressways. We have homes and things that we live in. So there's heat, hydro, and mortgage payments and all that stuff. But again, showing the universe where that goes. And so these two are actually somewhat tied, but I brought them out as individual pieces tonight because I think they're so important to really understand and have awareness of. And I've been beating on this drum literally all night, you guys, but you must track it. You must track it. You must have an awareness of where you're at so you can make decisions. I was telling a client earlier today about an experience I had, because I believe so much in the segmentation of money, right? That when you segment money into different categories, and we have 6 categories at Full Circle: savings, taxes, lifestyle, big rocks, debt reduction, and your business costs. And when you segment them, whether you're using an envelope system like we used to 35 years ago, or whether it's electronic, savings accounts or whatever, segmentation is wise, because when you have experiences you want to have in your life, to live your life in your ideal. And I was telling this guy about a big rock experience that my wife and I had with our children many years ago, I think it was in the early 00s somewhere. So it's got to be coming up on 18, 20 years ago. And it was one of the most ostentatious financial trips we'd ever taken. And so what we did was we rented a property. There's 13 parishes or provinces, districts in Jamaica. It's our favorite island. And we went to the one that is the least touristy. It's called Port Antonio, which is way the hell around from all of the tourist areas, almost on the backside. And we rented a property that we found out, we didn't know at the time, because this is pre-Airbnb and stuff, but it was actually the property that was owned by the Molson Brewery family in Canada, which is an extremely wealthy family. It was on the most amazing property. It was 2.5 acres. It was on a big peninsula, and on this side, there's like a private beach and like just this palm trees and stuff, a giant big pool. We had on this side, we had like big rocks and breakers, and the ocean would smash and stuff, and you'd see all that stuff happen. And it was really a really cool property. And we had a staff of six. We had cooks and gardeners and security people and housekeepers. And I mean, they did everything but wipe our butts, for God's sakes. It was incredible. And we dropped a pretty buck to have that experience. It was a great big rock experience for us. And I remember when I wrote the check for 12 or 16 grand to put a down payment on the property, I didn't even blink. I didn't think. I didn't worry about whether, I was screwing up the kids' education fund, or I was going to screw up the mortgage payment that month, or whatever, because I had segmentation of money. I had clear intention for what I was going to use that money for, and I knew the money was there because I wasn't living off of some Amex credit card. We'd intended this, we had saved for it, and we were living our life on our ideal. And you can just write that check. So when you have awareness and you're tracking your finances, you know what to do. If you're going to move into a new space, and it's like, wow, do I have, the finances to do that? You need a new chiropractic table. You want to upgrade and go to digital x-ray. You want, all of these different decisions that we make every day in our lives, right? You need to know where you're at financially to know whether you can move quickly or not, right? Agonizing and pining over those decisions because you don't know where you stand. It's stressful, man. It's shitty. And it can be completely avoided if you know where you're at financially, okay? So hopefully you guys will take some of that to heart, and you'll take some of these action steps to heart. Let's bring this baby in for a landing. I'm very happy to stay around for some questions if people have any. But here are the action steps that I'm recommending, okay? And this is going to tie to the worksheet that we just went through. But you got to own where you are. That's number one, you guys, okay? So wherever you're at, whether you're broke as a friggin' church mouse or you're friggin' Warren Buffett, it's irrelevant. Take complete ownership of where you're at. And the negatives, if you're in a not such a great financial situation right now, they're going to be pretty obvious, okay? So you probably don't need to focus too much on them relative to the whole pro-con list. They're going to be pretty obvious. It's important to give them voice, okay, and write about them. But it's the positives you want to look at. What are the blessings? What are the things, that are showing up there? And, I can remember you guys just in my life. And again, I've stated this many times. We came from pretty humble beginnings, pretty, lower blue collar, middle class kind of folks. And we had 3 square meals, but, not a lot else. And we never took vacations. Matter of fact, the very first airplane ride I ever went on was when I graduated university. It's just, it's just kind of the reality of where we're at. But my wife and I have got, relatively speaking, some financial abundance in our lives. And yet we reflect back on when we were students. We were married as students when I was going to chiropractic school, and she was in nursing school. My wife's a registered nurse, even though she hasn't nursed in a long time. And, we were so broke, we had to look up to see the poverty line. I mean, honest to God, right? We had absolutely just no money. We had a used kitchen table in our little 400 square foot apartment. We'd bought a used bed, which turned out to be a super huge mistake because it was already worn out by the time we got it. We had a couple of student ship desks, right? We had no living room furniture. We had a 12-inch black and white TV connected to bunny ears and aluminum foil to bring in 2 stations, right? And I remember a big Friday night for us was we'd sit on our ass on the parquet floor, hardwood floor, because we had no furniture. And we'd watch rerun movies on this 12-inch black and white TV and, and have a drink and have a bag of chips or something stupid, right? And it was we weren't unhappy, right? And then you end up with a bunch of stuff in your life, right? And all of a sudden there's bills to pay and there's insurance and there's shit to maintain. And, and it's we've looked at it sometimes and it's you know what? We are living proof based upon our values that there is no correlation between how happy you are and how much money you have, right? So take some ownership of that. My wife and I were super close at that time. We worked out regularly because we didn't have a lot else to do, right? So just take some ownership of where you're at and what the benefits are, okay? Find your magic number. You're probably not going to write that YouTube listing down, you guys, but I threw it on there. It's in the chat. If you scroll up in the chat, you'll see it in there. You must have goals for the dollars. Tell the universe really clearly where the dollars are going, what it is in your life. And again, let's go to that state management piece, right? Getting into a state of gratitude, seeing and feeling what it's like to be in that state. But also having gratitude for where you're at is really important because it'll help to allow you to get to that next state. All right. And the last action step I have for you is to track it. And we at Full Circle, we use the bliss sheet for that. There's 2 sides to it, right? There's the find your magic number side, which is the awareness side, and the planning side. And then there's the tracking side. Okay. So if you're a note taker, write it down, own it, find your magic number, show the goals for where the dollars are going to go, and then for heaven's sakes, develop some sort of a tracking system. Okay. Now, at the risk of acting like a coach, what you want to be doing right now is thinking ahead and going, how many days or weeks do I want to give myself to get these action steps that we just talked about? Okay. Right. Owning where you're at, finding a magic number, goals for dollars, tracking it. How many days or weeks do you want to give yourself? Find a deadline in time and space. It's not going to take you months. I 100% promise you that. It's not going to take you months. So find a date to complete that, throw it in your calendar right now. And the probability of you manifesting that just got skyrocketingly higher. Okay. This goofy guy says in our next magic show that we're doing in a couple of weeks from almost a couple of weeks from tonight, I'll talk about that in a second. Why waffling burns you out? Make a commitment, damn it. Kind of a sexy title, eh? I like that one. It's kind of fun. Joe actually helped me with that, for those of you who know who Joe is. Why waffling burns you out? Make a commitment, damn it. I have found, you guys, as of this recording, I've been, coaching for almost 30 years. There is lots of reasons why some people are more successful than others that I've coached, because they have access to the same material. They have access to the same content. They have access to the same mindset, to the same energy, to the same accountability. And some people take it and run with it, and some people don't. And there's different reasons for that, okay? And I don't want to get into all the reasons, but I can 100% promise you that one of the biggest differences is those people that have a really strong commitment to themselves, to the gifts they have inside of themselves, and a commitment to offer those to the world. That is one of the biggest pieces. So there's an entire training I've done on that in our Full Circle program, and I'm going to be sharing it with you guys. When are we going to do that, and what does that look like? Well, that is this piece right here, you guys. In our roadmap, it's an ironclad commitment to your mission. And look at my language, eh? Ironclad, right? Super ironclad commitment. There is so many parts to understanding what commitment is and how to have more of it in your life, you guys. I'm not going to hold anything back in that training. I'm going to give you guys everything I've got on that topic, because I've been thinking about this one and writing about this one for a really long time. Okay. When is that one happening? Well, it's happening for the first time on a Wednesday evening Eastern Standard. Okay. We've been doing these conversations, these magic shows on Thursday nights for quite a while now, almost a year as of this recording. And we've done 2 changes based upon requests from some of our clients. We're going to alternate Wednesday nights with Thursday nights, which is going to confuse the shit out of a bunch of people. Get over it, get on it, put it in your friggin' calendar. I almost dropped the F-bomb, Barry. Did you see that? I caught myself. That was pretty good. Not that I'm afraid to say fuck, but I don't want to say it out loud too hard. So again, October 19th, if you're interested in learning about commitment and how to stop waffling and to really understand what it is and how to have more of it in your life, please join me. You would be welcome to join me. The other change we've made, you guys, based upon some requests we've had, is to start these conversations at 8 o'clock. And maybe some of you got that memo tonight, which is why there was not as many people here at 7:30. I'm going to have to talk to my admin team about that, because this one was actually supposed to start at 7:30, which is why some of you missed out on some of the early content. I apologize for the technical screw-ups on that, but we are going to start doing them, at 8 o'clock, because it's going to, wow, look at that. I'm going to make you guys dizzy, because it's going to allow people, particularly in the Pacific Standard Time, to be able to get here. And some of you guys in the other side of the world, Barry, maybe you get here just before you start in prime time or whatever. Okay. So again, if you'd like to understand more what commitment is, how to have more of it in your life, please join us. We would absolutely love to have you. So listen, thanks again for spending time with me tonight. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to share what it is that's inside of me that wants so desperately to get out. I love people. I love watching people express more of their authentic greatness to the world. And if you're somebody that would like some help with that, you know what? Happy to have a conversation with you about that and help you. Yeah, Stu, you were told 8 p.m. too, right? Yeah, sorry. Yes. If you're somebody that would like to get some help with understanding how we might be able to help you, I would be very happy to have a conversation with you about that. If you've